Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to show you how to make the barrel for the Homemade Hand Engraving Machine handpiece on the drill press. Now one of the first things you want to do here is check your drill press and make sure the table is square with your chuck. And you can do that by just sticking something in the chuck. It's good and square and straight, and we'll bring it down, and you can come in with the square and just make sure that your table's square, and if it ain't, correct it. Get it as square as you possibly can to the chuck. It needs to be pretty square actually, and if you don't have a square, you can probably get by with using a deep well socket, say a 1-inch. What is this? This is a 15/16. It's close to 1 inch, but it'll work as a square, and that'll give you an idea if your table's square with your chuck. Now, next you're going to need something to hold the barrel with. Now if you don't have a V-block's excellent for holding things good and square. That's the way to go. But we're going to do it the hard way. We're going to assume you don't have a real nice vise. Like these vises have the little V in it that'll hold your workpiece good and square. We're just going to pretend you don't have something. You know, a vise like this can be turned sideways and clamped down. That'll hold it good and square. But if you don't have none of this stuff, most people with a drill press are going to have the bare minimum here. They're going to have a $20 vise that you can get at Harbor Freight, and that's usually what they got laying around. So that's what we're gonna use to drill out our barrel for our handpiece. And for starters, you might want to have a combination square. You can get one up at Harbor Freight for $8. So this is a handy tool to have because it also has the square. You could have used this square to check that your table's square with your drill bit. And this also has a center finder on it. And you're going to use the center finder to mark the center of your hole. So this side I've already faced off in the lathe because it gives you that center, and I only did that because I wanted to show you how this thing works. So I can put the barrel into the combination square like this. I'll scribe a line. Scribe a line on it, and you'll see how close to the center that line is. So let's see, I don't know if you can see it. I can't really see it. I'll turn it 90 degrees and scribe another line. And now I have an X on my workpiece right at the center. So I'm going to go over here to a little stouter area with my center punch, and I'm going to put a starter hole on this. I put a I center punched, or I punched put a little center punch where my X comes together. Now we're going to use this vise because most people have this type of vise, like I said, so I'm going to do it the hard way. Now, I'm going to stick this in here, but if I put it at the edge like this and I tighten it down, this jaw will kind of cock to the side, so I kind of need something to put in here. So I'm going to put in the piece that I cut off the end here over on this side. So it kind of keeps the jaws square. Now what I'm going to do is take the square off of my combination square, and I'm going to make sure that the barrel's good and square in the vise. And I'm going to tighten the vise down. Okay, that looks good and square. I'm going to get her good and tight. Double check, make sure she's square. Oh yeah, that's square. Okay, now what I want to do would be center drill it. Now I use a center drill to center drill these. Now if you don't have a center drill, you can choke up on a small drill way up into the drill press. I mean, just get it to where it's barely hanging out, you know, maybe ½ an inch at the most. And we want to set the table to where we can work with whatever drill we're going to set in there. So we're going to use this, we're eventually going to use this drill. So I'm going to have to drop this table to where I can get in there. Now hopefully, oh yeah, I can still center drill it. So the setup is the big thing here. We want to get her set up right. We know our table's square. We know that whatever drill bit that we can stick in here is going to work. We can get on it, because once I got her clamped down, I don't want to have to move this table again. But we are going to clamp it down. Now I have a center drill, whoops, so I'm going to use it to center up my workpiece. I'm going to bring this down and pick up that mark I made with the punch. That X marks the spot with my center finder. Okay. So we're going to need, let's tighten down our center drill. Let's bring it down. And there's the center of my part. I'm going to try to get the spindle to stay right here. Okay, I lock my spindle down to where it's, the center drill is right into the mark that I made with the punch. So at this point, we're going to clamp our vise down to the drill press table. Because I don't want, after this, I don't want it to move. I want that to stay right there. So I've got two C clamps. And I'm just going to tighten this thing down so that the vise won't move, and it's right, or it's pretty close to center. for what we're going to do here. Alright, got her locked down. That's good and tight, and so I want to go in with a pilot drill. So I'm going to use a 1/4 inch drill as my pilot for a 348 drill. It's an S drill, but it's 348. So that's going to be the cylinder bore is going to be 348. So let's start with we'll start with the 1/4 inch drill. Well, I'm sorry. I want to start, I don't know why I did that. I'm getting ahead of myself again. I want to start with the center drill and get a good center drill started on this. So let's do that. Let me take off any watches, rings, jewelry, anything hanging loose you don't want around the spindle. Not a good thing to have. It can suck you into that spindle so fast you won't know what happened until it's too late. So, alright, first thing I want to do here is center drill this. And we're on center. Take my time because I don't want this thing to move. Alright, we got our center drilled. Now we'll go to our pilot drill, which is I'm going to use the 1/4 inch drill bit as the pilot for the 347. We'll just call it 350. The S drill. So 1/4 inch drill bit's going to be our pilot here. Tighten her down. And now we'll drill this down to the depth that we want on this. So that would go with your overall dimension. If you were able to get this cut off close to 2 inches, whatever it's over, just add that to your depth. So you wanted 1 inch, 200 thousandths deep. Well, if you're 25 thousandths over or 30 thousandths over, you go 1 inch, 225 or 230. So that we'll have to sneak up on because we're using a drill press, and I don't have, it's just the bare necessities here. I don't have any kind of indicators or anything that tell me my depth, so I'm just going to have to sneak up on it. So, one thing I can do to help get me close to the dimension I want, the 1 inch, 200 thousandths, is to put a mark on my drill bit at that depth. So I'll use a piece of tape here. I'll use my calipers. I'll open them up to 1 inch 200 thousandths. I'll lock that down. And I can put a piece of tape at that distance as a reminder of where I'm at. So there's a visual indicator of how deep you want to go with this drill bit. So that'll get us close. And now you can just watch how close you get to that tape. And we'll continue to drill here. Let me get some oil. Just use a little oil on it. There we go. Carry on. Good. Take your time. Don't get in a hurry. Because you don't want that barrel to move in that vise. And once you're down in there about a ½ inch, that's going to help maintain the squareness of this thing. She's getting hot. Not working out very well, is it? Take your time. You're going to need a good sharp drill. Use a brand new drill because this one already got a little hot and I had to sharpen it. Take your time. Use plenty of oil. I said, I'm doing this the hard way, so it sticks and rocks. See, that barrel's getting pretty hot because it's cooking the oil on the outside of it. We're making this thing with sticks and rocks. Drill bit's probably not as sharp as I'd have liked it, but like I said, we're going to do this the hard way. Almost to the tape that I set for depth. All right, we're there. So, I've got the pilot hole in there, and it's got a little hot, but it has a tendency of doing that when you're doing things the hard way. But we'll still get there from here. Alright, next I'm going to go in with the finish drill. This is an S drill. It mics out at 0.348, which is pretty close to 350, so that's going to be my final drill size. Let's get plenty of oil on it. And I think I'm going to slow this drill bit down for this next operation. So let me get in. Alright, that's a little better. Alright, I got a good starter in that, so we're going to do the same thing with this drill as we did with the last one. Let's set our 1" 200 thousandths on the drill bit with a piece of tape. Let's get in here. I'm going to put a piece of tape on the drill bit. Okay, now I've got my drill bit marked how deep I want to go. I probably should have done that at the beginning, but you never know what's going to happen when you start doing stuff this way. Alright, let's get some oil down this hole. And let's drill it out. pair of pliers to grab them. Cut them. You can see it wiggling a little bit, but it should still be good and square. It says they're doing this with sticks and rocks. This isn't the ideal setup for this, but I'm going to show you that it can be done. Woo, she's wiggling. Tighter. Almost there. Getting close. Almost there. Take a look at it. I think we're there. So what I want to do now is I'm going to take it out and I'm going to measure it. It's probably hotter than the $2 pistol, so I want to be careful when I pick this thing up. Let's grab it with a cloth. Oh yeah, it's hot. Clean it off. And there's the bore. And you can see it's off just slightly, off center. That's why you don't want to go with the 375, because you know, unless you get lucky hitting that center exactly perfect like you would on a lathe, is pretty hard on the drill press. But as you see, that's close enough. It got her in there. I tell you what, you probably can't see it here, but the surface finish doesn't look bad in there at all. I can live with that. Now let's see how deep it is. So we want 1 inch 200 thousandths plus the length of this thing. So this is 2 inch 21 thousandths. So I want it 2 inch 21 thousandths deep. Let's see where it's at. Well, I've got 1 inch 195, so we can go a little bit deeper on it. So I'll stick it back in. Let's clean off the vise here, and we'll stick it back in the vise and go just a little bit deeper. Don't worry about the color of the piece, it'll still work even though it burnt some. Got good and hot. It didn't really burn. It cooked the oil on the surface. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my drill down into it, and I'll lock the vise back down. And that's about as good as it's going to get. Whoops. Let me, sorry about that. This is a little more difficult than I had anticipated. Put that piece back in there to hold everything square here. Okay. It's all back down in there. Lock her down, and I was at 1 inch 195, so I want to go a little bit deeper. Let's put some oil down in the hole. That took a little out, so let's see how much that was. She's still warm. She'll still work. Alright, stick my calipers down in here and see where we're at now. I'm at 1 inch 217 thousandths, and I think I'm going to leave it right there. So there you have the cylinder bore on this thing on the drill press. There's side one. Now I'm going to show you some things you can do after you've cut it off, depending on whether you used a hacksaw or a cut-off saw or whatever. It's a little rough right there on the end. Now that's the original cut-off I did on a cut-off saw. But a hacksaw would probably leave even more marks on it. But I'm going to show you how to clean that up now. So let's get this vise out of our way. What I want to do now is I want to check up on this thing. Let's zoom this out. So I want to check up on the I'm going to check up on the threaded end, because I'm going to stick it up in there so it's not really grabbed. I'm going to stick it as far up in this chuck. I'm going to leave about a ½ an inch sticking out, so it ain't really going to bite down on the threads and put a dent in the threads or deform the threads in any way, hopefully. So then I want to raise my table up. Pretty high. Okay. I'm going to get a file. So lay the file up here. So let's see. Do here. There's the barrels up in the chuck of the drill press. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to bring it down to the file. Have the file off the one edge. And I'm just going to hit it on the, just keep touching it to the file. Now you can do this before you even start to both ends of it, after you have the it cut off. You know, whether you cut it off with a hacksaw or your bandsaw or whatever you use to cut the head of the bolt off. And about a ½ an inch of the threads. And I'm just bringing the drill, I'm just bringing it down and touching the file here. Let's see if that cleaned that up. So what do we got on there now? Oh yeah, it's starting to clean it up. So it may take a while, depending on how, you know, you can see there's a low side here. and it's cleaning up on the high side. So just keep doing that. Like I said, it's going to take longer doing it with the drill press, but you can get there from here. Tighten that in and just keep doing this. Until you've cleaned up the ends of your barrel. Getting a little more aggressive with it. It is stainless steel. It takes a little pressure, but I don't want to yank the file out of my hand. And I can also chamfer. Sorry about that. I can also chamfer this thing. Oh, I got it in here running. Nice little, not much, just knock the burr off of it. Let's take a look at it. Well, almost looks like it came off the lathe. How about that? And it's showing the center also. You know, it's easier to see the center of it. So I'm going to go over with the center punch, and I'm going to center punch this thing, and we'll put a 1/4 inch hole in it. Now that's something else you can do if you go too deep. If you go too deep on this side, you can stick it in the chuck and take some more off of this end. As a matter of fact, we're going to stick it in there right now. I'm going to chuck up on that piece. And what I'm going to do is just put a little chamfer. I'm going to try to hold it at 45 degrees. And I'm putting a chamfer on the threaded end. Let's take a look at that. And I put a nice little chamfer on the edge of that, and as you can see, the hole isn't exactly centered. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it really doesn't need to be. The concentricity on this thing isn't of the utmost importance. It'll still do the job. That's why you can get away with doing this on a drill press, because if you're not exactly centered, don't worry about it. It's still going to work. So now we're going to go to the other side. I've got it, I put a center mark on it that I can pick up with my center drill. This time I'm not going to use the center drill. I'm going to pretend I don't have one. And I'm going to center drill it just with a small diameter drill really chucked up in there. So let's get this table back down to where I can at least get a 1/4 inch drill. And I think I'm going to change 1/4 inch drills. I'm going to see if I can find one that's sharper than this. That one did not do well at all. But I'm going to go ahead and set it up. I'm sticking this in here to get my the depth I need. Now this time I'm gonna put this down here so that it's chucked up. I'm gonna put it in the center, but it's down on the shank of the bolt. I know I can get it up under my drill, so that's a good spot for it right there. Now, instead of using a center drill, I want to use Just going to use a small drill way up in the chuck to center this. Come down. Let's see what we got on it. Okay. Bring it down until that drill catches in that center punch. Alright, that seems to be the spot right there. I want to lock my quill down so it stays there. Now it's staying there. Now I can C-clamp it in place so she don't move. There's that one. And alright, I got it. You couldn't see, but I C-clamped the vise into position. Loosen my quill back up and let's center drill it. Well, my table isn't locked down. There we go. I'm back in center. Forgot to lock my table down, but it's right there now. Little spot started. That's good enough. I can tell already that it's not exactly on center, but I don't care. It doesn't need to be. So that'll get me started. Now let me find a 1/4-inch drill that's worthy of this job. This one here wasn't. Alright, I found a 1/4-inch drill. I think it's in a little better shape than the other one, because we're not going to worry about setting a depth this time, because she's going to go all the way through. Let's lock her down. Oil on her. And start drilling. Loose. I can tell it's loose. And I didn't really check the square. I'm not that worried about it. I think she's good and square in there. But you're going to need a small square to double check that it's squared up. I forgot to do that. I'm making all kinds of mistakes today, but this isn't how I normally do this, so you'll have to bear with me. We'll get there from here. Okay, that's good and square. Got me a center hole. And we're just going to press on. Find center, and I'm going to lock my table down. Alright, fill her out. Sorry about that. your time. Don't get the big hurry. You don't want to break the drill. You don't want to push the barrel out of the vise. Take your time. Going through about 850 thousandths. Stainless steel material, and it's this 18/8 stuff's kind of tough. At least it ain't like 316. That stuff will work hard on you if you're not careful. This doesn't seem to be as bad. A little easier machining. Take your time. Ooh, breaking through. Be careful once you break through, it can get ugly. Take your time, go through nice and easy. There she is. Alright, I think we got us a part. You need to find something to grab it with because it's probably pretty hot. So, I'll blow it off. And there it is. We've got her drilled out. She ain't exactly centered, but that's the point I'm trying to get across here. It doesn't have to be. See how far off center that is? It's still gonna work, so don't worry about it. Like I said, it's hard to pick up that center. You can do it, you know, you might get lucky and hit it dead on, and it won't walk off or climb off to one side or the other. But concentricity isn't of importance in this. And you can see, looking down inside of it, one side's thicker and thinner. That makes no difference whatsoever. This thing is still going to work. So there you had it. I've just drilled out the barrel on a drill press. Still a little warm. I can handle it now. And there she is. And she'll clean up nicely. Like I said, don't worry about the concentricity. It's irrelevant. This thing is still gonna work. So that's all I have for this video. In the next video, we'll put the locator tip on this, the 1 inch or the 1/10 of an inch by 1/10 of an inch, 1/10 of an inch deep on here. And we'll figure out where to do it. We'll probably do it in the low spot. That looks like a good spot for that locator tip. So in the next video, I'll show you how to, with a hacksaw and just files, to put that tip on there, and then we'll locate our holes, our vent holes, and we'll drill those. And we're going to do all this stuff with hand tools, with sticks and rocks. And there was easier methods. I could have used my V block, and I wouldn't have needed this. I could have put the V block in the vise and just held it in place. That would have held her nice and square. I wouldn't have to worry about it wiggling around, but it really doesn't matter. I just did this, and no, it's not perfect, but it's good enough, with the cheapest vise that you can get for a drill press. So we've gone this far with it. Like I said, I got a little hot up here because my drill wasn't good and sharp, and it started cooking the oil, but that'll eventually rub off. It didn't hurt the stainless steel at all. So that's all I have for this video. Like I said, the next video we'll put the tip on it with the locator tip, with a file, and then we'll locate and drill our 4 vent holes in it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.